All things are impermanent. Bhikkhus, this Samara is without discoverable beginning. A first point is not discerned of beings, roaming and wandering, unhindered by ignorance and fettered by craving. In the past, bhikkhus, the Mount Velapina was called Pinsvamahya, and at the time these people were called Travas. The lifespan of a Trava was 40,000 years. They could climb Mount Persevina in 4 days, descend in 4 days. At the time the Blessed One, Kansada, and Arkana, a perfectly enlightened one, had arisen in the world. His two chief disciples were named Bandra and Stjana, an excellent pair. See, bhikkhus, that name for the mountain has disappeared. Those people have died, and the Blessed One has attained Nirvana. So impermanent and formation, bhikkhus, so understandable, so unreliable, it is enough, bhikkhus, to experience revolution towards all formations, enough to become dispassionate towards them, enough to liberate from them. In the past, bhikkhus, this Mount Velapuna was called Vanka, and at that time these people were called Rahitsis. Lifespan was 30,000 years. They could climb mountains, Vankalurna in 3 days and descend in 3 days. At the time the Blessed Ones, Kongana and Arkana, a perfectly enlightened one, had arisen in the world. His two disciples were named Bosiya and Antara, an excellent pair. See, bhikkhus, that name for this mountain has disappeared. Those bhikkhus have died, and blessed ones have attained final nirvana. So impermanent are the formations, bhikkhus, so understand, so unreliable. It is enough, bhikkhus, to experience revolution towards all formations, enough to become dispassionate towards them, enough to be liberated for them. Still another time, in the past, bhikkhus, the Mount Velapina was called Sapasa, and the time these people were called Sapayans. The lifespan of the Sapayans was 20,000 years. They could climb Mount Sapana in 2 days and descend in 2 days. At the time, the Blessed One, Kassapa, and Anhana, a perfectly enlightened one, had arisen in the world. His two chief disciples were named Tissa and Borvaja, an excellent pair. See, bhikkhus, that name for this mountain has disappeared, for those people have died, and the Blessed One has attained final nirvana. So impermanent are the formations, bhikkhus, so understandable, so unreliable. It is enough, bhikkhus, to experience revolution towards all formations, enough to become dispassionate towards them, enough to be liberated from them. At present, bhikkhus, this Mount Velapina is called Velapina, and at the present these people are called Mangadas. Lifespan of a Mangadas is short, limited, feasting. One who lives long lives 100 years or a little more. The Mangadas climb Mount Velapina in an hour and descend in an hour. At present I have arisen in the world, and Anahat, a perfectly enlightened one. My two chief disciples are named Sapana and Mongalina, an excellent pair. There will come a time, bhikkhus, when the name for this mountain will have disappeared, when these people have died, and I will have attained final nirvana. So impermanent formations, bhikkhus, so understandable, so unreliable. It is enough, bhikkhus, to experience revolution towards all formations, enough to become dispassionate towards them, enough to liberate from them. This is what the Blessed One said. Having said these, fortunate one, the teacher further said this. This was called Pansavita by the Tavaras, and Tavara by the Rakshasas, Supasa by the Sapaya people, Velampuna by the Mangala folk. Impermanent allies are formations subject to arising and vanishing. Having arisen, they cease their apartment is blissful. All things are impermanent. Impermanent monks are compounded things. Unstable monks are compounded things. Insecure monks are compounded things. So monks, be dissatisfied with all these things in the world replied by them. But ye utterly free from them. Monks, Sirunja, kings of mountains in 84,000 leagues, in 84,000 legions. Embreda, 84,000 leagues immersed in the great ocean. It stands out above the waters of once 84,000 oceans. Monks, there comes a time when many years, from 100 years, from 1,000 years, from many hundreds of thousand years, there is no rain. And when this no rain comes, all seed life and vegetation, all trees yield medicine plants, and giants of the jungle become parched and dried up and are no more. Thus impermanent, this unstable, this insecure, all compounded things. But ye dissatisfied with them, but ye replied by them, but ye utterly freed them. Monks, there comes a time when, in some age, at the end of some vast period, a second sun appears. When the second sun appears, all the streams and the towns become parched and dried up and are no more. Thus impermanent, thus unstable, thus insecure, are all compound things. Be yet dissatisfied with them, be yet by them, be utterly free from them. Monks, there comes a time when in someone, at the end of a various period, a third sun appears. With the third sun appears, all the great rivers become parched and dried up and no more. This is to say, the Ganga, the Yama, the Akrasa, the Sabah, and the Maya. Thus impermanent, thus unstable, thus insecure are all compound things. Be yet dissatisfied with them, be replied by them, ye utterly free from them. Monks, there comes a time when in some age, at the end of a vast period, the fourth sun appears. When the fourth sun appears, all great lakes, whence whose great river flows, become parched and dried up, and are no more. That is to say, the Antana, the Sapana, the Rukla and the Kamana, the Kunana and Chadada and Makandi. The impermanent, the unstable, the insecure, all compound things. By yet dissatisfied with them, be yet replied by them, be utterly free from them. Monks, there comes a time when in some age, at the end of a vast period, a fifth sun appears. When the fifth sun appears, the waters of the mighty ocean recede 100 leagues. The water recedes 200 leagues, 3, 4, 6, 7, 800 leagues. The waters of the mighty ocean remain at a depth of 7 palm trees, of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 of merely 1 palm tree. The waters of a mighty ocean remain at a depth of 7 men's stature, of 6, 5, 4, 3 of merely 1 stature of man, just half a man, of merely up to his hip, of merely up to his knee, of merely up to his ankle. Monks, just as the autumn time, when the rain developer sheds big drops of rain here and there, in the footprints of cows there are puddles, even so monks, as mere puddles in cow footprints, are the waters of the mighty ocean, here and there. Thus impermanent, the unstable, the insecure, are all compounded things. Be yet dissatisfied with them, be repelled from them, be utterly free from them.